Hello, hello, hello. This is Priscilla with Scylla Travel coming at you live on a beautiful Saturday afternoon in sunny Summerville, South Carolina, which is about 30 miles from downtown Charleston, a popular tourist destination, although not so popular right now. You know what's going on. If you're in the US, you may want to rethink coming here. So today, I just wanted to come on briefly and talk to you about a couple of things that people have been asking me, in light of what's going on in our country with COVID. Really, it's going on in the world, but in the US, it seems to have been, not seems to have been, there has been a resurgence or, in certain regions of our country. And the numbers in some places have been a little out of control. Hello, Andrea. Oh, I've just been so rude. My name is Priscilla with Scylla Travel, owner and operator of Scylla Travel Agency. I'm an independent travel agency specializing in the US, specializing in Africa, specializing in the Caribbean and beyond. And I help you live the dream through travel. And I'd like to just say hello to all of my live viewers. I see Andrea, she's live. Hello. I'm going to, 1 second here, I'm going to check on my phone. Got to check the tech because it just does whatever it wants to do, right? So I just got to make sure that it is working over here. So I'm checking my phone. And is it working? Yes, it is. It's live. So yeah, I'm back. Hey, Sherry Ann, how are you? Nice to see you. So welcome all of you live participants. Welcome. Glad to see you. So I know when I go back in, I see the two of you. Anybody else? Remember, #live. And for the replay audience, #replay, because I do come back and look at the comments and I do respond to you. So back to our topic of discussion for today. So I'm like getting a lot of questions and hey, I got these questions in my mind and I'm sure lots of other people have these same exact questions. I'm a US citizen. What's going on? Where can I go? The EU banned us. What? We're like banned, like ban? Like for real? Us? Oh my God. So yeah, it is shocking, but hey, that's life. So a lot of people have been asking and wondering, where can I go? Because we know that destinations, our favorite destinations, many of them are starting to reopen. So they're a little bit ahead of the US in their dealing with COVID. It hasn't been even, the spread hasn't been all over the world and the way that it is here and maybe other places. I don't know why. I don't have the answers. Scientists don't all have the answers. However, the real deal is that right now the U.S. is on the ban list for the European Union. So as well as some countries, they're reluctant to allow the U.S. citizens to come to their country right now. But I see what you're saying. Andrea's saying, yep, COVID's killing my travel plans. You and me both, sister. I was supposed to have gone to the Dominican Republic in April. All expenses paid by the DR Tourist Board. That just hurt my heart. Oh, man. So we're all like stuck and we're like, we want to be able to travel, but right now, things are like really, really dicey. So we can travel as U.S. citizens, even though there's like an advisory advising us not to travel. We're not prisoners. We can travel, but if you want to do it, you have to be wise. Make sure, number one, that you're in good health. Make sure, number two, that you research the destination that you would like to visit thoroughly. Make sure that their numbers are going down within a 2-week period of when you plan on going, right? Make sure those numbers are going down and make sure those death rates are going down. Be looking at that. Just please, A lot of things are changing. The airports are getting a lot more safe and strict, with the resurgence of the virus in our country. We can't just avoid talking about it. For a long time, travel advisors didn't talk about it. We tried to talk around it because we didn't want to panic people. It's too late for that. You can't hide. So now we just got to mitigate the risk, figure out how we can do it, when we can do it. But the best thing to do is plan for next year, 2021. 2020, it's almost, I would say it's just about shot for me anyway. Maybe not for everyone, but for me, for my level of travel, my level of comfort to travel, for me, I have, family members that I have to consider. I do have a job, even though I'm a travel advisor. I was planning on retiring, but it looks like I'll be working a little bit longer, on the job. This is my business that I run. So there are all these considerations, and, I'm just like each and every one of you who have small businesses, you just don't know, you just got to be careful right now. That's an investment. Your vacation is an investment. That's money that you sock away. And because of what happened before, when COVID came out, it just blew everybody's travel plans up, and trying to get refunds. The airlines were scrambling, destination, like hotels were scrambling, everybody was scrambling. So we don't want to have to go through that again. So I'm a travel advisor, okay? Travel advisor, not travel agent. We don't go by that anymore, even though it's like a slip of the tongue. Sometimes we use it. Travel agents are old school. Back in the day when we had the brick and mortar places where you can go into a travel agency, you're walking down the street, you go in there, they work for somebody, maybe hourly or so, or maybe they work on commission, I don't know, but they book tickets. Now, these days with the internet, hey, you need a custom experience, especially now with COVID. I wouldn't trust using an online travel agency. So when you go online and you go to these search engines, that's what you call an online travel agency. So these places, like these websites like Expedia and others, some of them went out of business. Some of them were just like, I can't help you, because they're not designed to do that. They're designed to take you do the searching. It's like a huge conglomeration of data and inventory all over. These providers or suppliers, they pay to use the service. That's how they make money, as well as they make money off of the tickets that we book. Then they have their own, there's another level of complexity there, because they have their own cancellation rates and rules on top of the specific hotelier, the specific resort, the airline, any tour operator. So they're in between you and the supplier. And if you use a travel agent, your travel agent is the person, you have a real person that you can work with. You have a real person that can advocate on your behalf, because that's what travel advisors have done for people. Those people who didn't have a travel advisor, they had a hard time. So those who did, their travel advisors did the work for them. They advocated for them because they were able to, they have the relationship, a direct relationship with the suppliers. Now, let's back up just a teeny tiny second now. So travel advisors, when you book with one, the reputable ones, if you want to find a reputable one, go look on the CLIA website. That's Cruise Line International. Look for ASTA. That's the Association for Travel Advisors, or Travel Leaders, any of these consortia, because we have to pay to become members and they actually vet us. So that's, you can find your reputable travel advisors. So those of us who are reputable, we have to protect ourselves as well. So we feel you're our client. We work for you. We service you as our client. So we take on the responsibility of solving all of those problems for you. Before, it wasn't such a big deal before COVID, but now it's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of work. And we do that for you. And many times we do that for no pay at all. That's what it wound up happening. So not blaming anybody, just laying it out there. Hours and hours of work on top of the work that we do, and we love what we do. But we're the ones who advocate for you. We're the ones in the background solving those problems. You get stranded, you call us, we find a flight for you, we find a hotel for you, we try to do what we can to get you where you need to be, or even get you back home. So now, a lot of questions, going back to the main topic for today. I'm an American. Where can I travel internationally? Yeah, good question. So, surprisingly, there is a nice long list of places where you can actually travel. However, there's some caveats, mind you. So I know in the US, there's a lot of drama going on about wearing masks. Leave that at home if you leave the US. If you go to a foreign land, you go abroad, you're going to another country. Those people have their own rules. They're their own sovereign nation, and you've got to follow the rules. Please, I don't want to see anybody on CNN because they acted up over there and got locked up. Okay, so let's not do that. They want you to wear masks. They want you to socially distance. These are rules. They're saying you must do it if you come there. There are a few far in between that are not doing it. But for the most part, these foreign lands, when we, especially American citizens, because we're considered high risk, we're a high risk nation because of the number of COVID cases that we have. So that's the difference. So think about it, because hey, people are like, we have a right to wear a mask or not wear a mask. The government can't tell us what to do. You can say and do all of that here in the US of A. Okay, you can voice your concerns here in the US of A. We have freedom of speech. But when you go to a sovereign nation, you're no longer on United States soil. You have to follow the rules. So now I'm going to go into the good part. I just had to put that warning out there for you. So you got to do a shift in your mindset. Now, when you leave the country, you're no longer in the US. So you're not protected the same way that you are here. Okay. So now I do have a couple slides. I'm good with the slides. I'm like the PowerPoint queen. So I'm going to share. I did get a second monitor. So now I'm able to do this without flipping around. Okay, so where can I travel internationally? Good question. Where can I go? Right? So, like I said, I'm Priscilla. This is my intro. I already went through it before. I help you live the dream through travel. I just went on my spiel, got on my soapbox about what travel advisors do for you. This is just what we do in general. This is what we do outside of COVID. This is the normal stuff that we do before COVID, like working with you to plan your custom vacation. And right now, even it might be just a short vacation, I would advise you to get with a travel agent or a travel advisor before you do it, because you're going to need help planning it, navigating all the hurdles, okay, and all the rules, and every place is different. So this is what I do. I design travel experiences, and I consider that to be a luxury because this is custom. It's not cookie cutter. No cookie cutter, no stamp, no Expedia, where you just go and do what you want. No. I do custom, right? I customize every aspect of your trip. I also do groups. And for those of you who like family reunions and like to do parties with your sorority sisters and like to go away, man, I can take all of the drama off of your shoulders. You don't even have to talk to them if you don't want to. I'll take all care of all of the details and collect all of the funds, coordinate everything for you. So you don't have to, unless you just want to. So what I do is I take care of the details so you can rest, relax, and focus on the fun. So next, I got 3 slides. These are where U.S. citizens can travel right now, abroad. That's an old-fashioned term. Overseas, old-fashioned term. Internationally, everybody's so proper now. It's internationally. So Albania. Right? I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but the ones that are highlighted, I thought were interesting, and I will share the details unless somebody has a comment about it. So I'm going to look over here and see in the queue if anybody has got a comment. Remember, if you're in Facebook land over there, click the link and give StreamYard, that's the streaming tool that I'm using, access to your Facebook profile. Otherwise, it'll show up as a Facebook user. Okay, so remember to do that if you want to comment and ask a question, and then I'll be able to see. All right, so these are the places where you can travel: Albania, Antigua and Barbuda, this is the Caribbean. Aruba, not Albania. Albania is not in the Caribbean, but Antigua and Barbuda, Caribbean. Aruba, you know, I would hope you know, is in the Caribbean. The Bahamas is in the Caribbean. We've got Barbados, Bermuda, and Dominica. I skipped over Croatia because that's not in the Caribbean. This is in alphabetical order. Croatia is in Eastern Europe somewhere. But these locations that are in the Caribbean, they're pretty similar in their rules. Not exactly the same, but most of them. So most of them are going to require that you have a negative COVID PCR test 72 hours before you even get on the plane. Okay, so the hours are different based on island, but the way that you find out is hire your travel advisor. But that's the way that you know what the requirements are. So don't go skipping over that part. You know, you have to register on their tourist board website or whatever website that they have stood up so that you can register and ask. Okay, I see a question here. Andrea is asking about cruise ships. What's the deal with the cruise ships and COVID? Oh my God, I don't even want to think about it. So I'm not doing cruises for anybody right now at all, unless you're in Europe and in 2022, 2021 or 2022. The deal with the cruise ships is that in the United States, the Centers for Disease Control has extended the no sail order into September. So cruise ships are pretty much like they're not doing anything. So like Carnival, they had some cruises scheduled in the spring of next year. They've even pushed those out because it's so unsure. And the cruise lines have really suffered a huge loss. We're waiting to see who's going to go out of business. You know, we hope that these cruise lines are going to be able to stay afloat, pardon the pun. But we're waiting to see what's going to happen because they have been shut down. So they haven't been able to sail in the U.S., but some have resumed their sailings over in Europe. And like your river cruising. However, I want to make note now, there are some American-owned cruise lines, like American Cruise Lines, and I think Viking is going to start a river cruise here in the U.S. They're a subsidiary of Carnival Corp. Viking is. So these cruise lines are American owned. Those big cruise lines, they are incorporated in like Panama and foreign lands like that, right? So they are not considered to be American companies. So they could not take advantage of the CARES Act. They didn't. They weren't eligible. So, but they have just been holding their own. So the cruise lines, there's just so much going on here with the U.S. and it's just political, I believe. I don't know. I think personally, I think the cruise lines got a bad rap because they were the first to have the incidences of COVID, but I do think that it was totally mismanaged. I don't think that those folks should have been remaining on those ships for that length of time. They should have been evacuated because it's like an incubator. They were just like on the ship like trapped, and then there was no one knew what to do. They're floating around, and then the crew, after they got all of the passengers off, the crew, they're on these ships and the crews from all over the world. They're floating around, and then ports closed. They couldn't get the people off. It was just a nightmare. So these cruise lines have to, while we were like on lockdown, these cruise lines were doing all of this stuff, trying to figure out how to get our crew back home. That's after they got the passengers off, which was like a debacle to me. But that's where we go with the cruise lines. So we just got to wait and see. So I'm not even considering a cruise right now, unless it is a river cruise. We'll see where that goes. So let's see. Of these islands and these destinations, for the most part, they want you to have a negative COVID test before you even board your plane. So you have to go on their website, register for like a health visa and say I'm coming. And then for the most part, you have to bring proof of your COVID test. Most of them are 72 hours before you board the plane. Some are 48 hours before you board the plane. But you have to have this. And many times you have to upload it to their portal before they okay you to come. And then when you get there, you have a copy of it. And then they have additional screenings to go on. Some are doing temperature checks. Some are, they have a whole host of rules. So I'm not going to go through each and every one of them because there are a lot. But the ones that are yellow, I thought was interesting. So Barbados, you have to bring with you this negative PCR test. That's the COVID test. That's no older than 72 hours before you depart. And if you do get there without the test, they're going to quarantine you at your own expense. They're going to test you and quarantine you. So don't forget, okay, pending your results. And the anticipated wait time is like 48 hours. So please, if you're thinking about going there, I'm going to say again, hire a travel advisor. This person will keep you up to speed. So Angie's got a question. She's like, is Cancun allowing U.S. visitors? Yes, they are. As a matter of fact, Angie, they are. They never stopped. It's the crossing of the border where the issue is. But you can fly in. They're welcoming U.S. citizens. But I'll get to that. Okay, so let's see. I was at Barbados, right? Negative tests, no older than 72 hours before you leave the country. If you don't have one, they're going to make you take it, and then they're going to quarantine you at your own expense. If you do fail it, you're going to be placed in isolation, and you're going to get care from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. So that's what I'm saying. You go into these places, you are on sovereign soil. So you really need to be on your game if you're even taking that chance or taking the risk to travel anywhere. It's all of these rules that are really making it risky, in addition to the possibility of contracting the disease, So the airports are doing a pretty good job here in Charleston. They have mandated mask wearing, which is good. They should have done that a long time ago, so many of the airlines are not, they're leaving that middle seat vacant. American, they did a little double talk there. They're not doing it. So I personally wouldn't fly American. That's my preference. I would fly United or Frontier or any of these airlines that are leaving that third middle seat vacant, right? It's your level of comfort, but you got to wear a mask the whole time, okay? And if you don't wear it, they can kick you off the plane. So, and ban you from flying until COVID is over. And we don't know when that's going to be. Okay, so let's see. Bermuda has some similar requirements. Yeah, you've got to have a negative PCR test, no older than 72 hours before boarding, right? So Bermuda is doing something a little bit different. I'm unclear on what else could possibly happen. I didn't see where they're saying, well, you got to have this test, but then we're going to make you do another one. Some of the islands are not doing that. They're accepting if you take that test before. And that might have to do with, the resources to do the test, conduct the test. So some of these places are really small. Okay, so next. Come on, slide. The Dominican Republic. Now that's interesting, right? Dominican Republic. A lot of people love to go to the DR. Yeah, so let's see. Andrea is saying, yes, the time limits could be problematic considering how slow getting results could be. Yeah, but Andrea, they do have these test companies now where you can go and get a test. I know there's a company called Everlywell. They'll send it to you in the mail. And then I know that LabCorp is doing it, right? So here in the South, at least where I am, LabCorp is pretty big. You can go there, you go online, you say you need the test, and you pay for it. Sometimes your insurance may pay for it. I don't know. It depends on you and what plan you've got going on. And you can get this. They're going to do it online anyway, so you can get your results in the online. So, but yeah, right now, because we have so many cases, it might be problematic because they're backlogged. Like places like Texas, California, Arizona, the places where they're having trouble. So right now, South Carolina, we've got some high incidence of cases, but I haven't heard or read where the testing facilities have been really backlogged, unless maybe one of you have, let me know. So yeah, that can be problematic. So the Dominican Republic, really popular place to go, right? But check this out. And why I'm talking about them. Right now, they don't have a requirement for tests. The DR has no requirement for testing at this time. But they will be doing temperature checks as you disembark your plane, right? And if your temperature is above 100.6 Fahrenheit, or if you seem to present any type of COVID-like symptoms, then they can give you a test, right? They have something called a rapid COVID test, COVID-19 test. These countries have them. One is the swab in your mouth, and then the second one up your nose. So they have rapid tests. And if you do exhibit symptoms or have a fever, that's what they're going to do to you. So Dominican Republic, I'm surprised, but hey, they're reopened to U.S. citizens. So next, French Polynesia. So I know a lot of people like to go and have dreamt of going to Tahiti or Bora Bora. And yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. These are like dream destinations. So they are open to United States citizens. Now, maybe their rules are not that strict, to be quite honest, right? So you have to have a negative COVID test 72 hours before you depart. That means get on your flight. Here's something interesting, and here's something, listen up. They're requiring you to have travel insurance. So that's another thing that you really need to invest in. And I know people are like, I don't really want to because it's going to make my trip cost more. Invest in travel insurance. Because if anything goes wrong, these folks, they're not going to care for you because you're in a foreign land, and your health insurance is not going to cover you. You need travel insurance. Many times travel insurance will medevac you. If you need to leave, once you're stabilized, they will send a plane or helicopter or a combination of modes of transport to get you back home. You need travel insurance. And if you want to go there, they're requiring that you have travel insurance. So, and you have to be wearing a mask. And there's also something called a certificate of honor that you have to sign. You have to go on their website, right? And, they're going to make you sign this stuff when you get there. So you have to agree to abide by their rules. And what they're saying is while you're there, you must respect social distancing. You must respect it. So, because I know I go in the store sometimes and people are just so close on you. And I'm like, oh, God, please. I put the buggy behind me, if I'm in the grocery store so people don't get close. So they want you to adhere to social distancing, physical distancing. That's 6 to 8 feet. I forgot what it is in meters. Somebody knows, but they'll make sure that you know. And if you have any symptoms at all, you must report it. So you're saying that you're going to do that if you go there. And you must wear a mask when it's appropriate during your stay. And you could be a random person that they decide to select on the spot for a test. So be prepared to take one. Okay, so that's Bora Bora and Tahiti. And one of my favorite places, Grenada. August 1st, they're going to open. Guess what? They have 0 cases. I think they only had 23. They are currently COVID-free, and they want to keep it that way, right? So Grenada's entry requirements are kind of tough, right? It's a very small island. They need to protect their population. right? So for Americans, mind you, it's tough going to Grenada right now. They've got a laundry list of requirements. Number one, you have to sign, submit, and carry a health declaration form. And you have to submit this to this health and welfare board, part of an extension of the tourist board. They have an agency where you have to do this. You have to send this, and they have a contact tracing app. So they're going to be tracking you. Okay, before you go, you got to have that on your phone, right? They're not going to make you take tests prior to entry, but you have to present a health form, and you have to prove that you downloaded the app, and then they're going to test you when you get there. They have 2 levels of testing. They're going to do the rapid test. If you're negative on the rapid test, you're free to enjoy your stay in Grenada. But if your rapid test comes up positive, then you're going to have the PCR test. That's the one that could take up to 48 hours, depending on how many people are doing it, right? And at that point, you're going to have to be put in quarantine. And it's going to be at an approved destination. So it has to be approved. Maybe your hotel, I don't know. But it's going to be at your expense, right? So anywhere from 2 to 4 days waiting for that result. So this is going to be at your expense. So it will behoove you to take that test before you even attempt to go. So now if the PCR test, that's the COVID test where they swab your nose and do all that stuff. That's the second level of test. If that comes up positive, then you're going to be in quarantine for up to 14 days, subject to the Grenadian health officials, or until you've tested negative for another one, right? So they might do it to you twice within a 48-hour period, but it's up to them. It's at their discretion. They want to keep their population safe, so they're kind of strict on U.S. citizens. And let me tell you, it's not because they're prejudiced against U.S. citizens. It's because the U.S. is a high-risk country right now because of the sheer number of positive cases that we have. So let's just lay it on out there and just be real about it, okay? So Jamaica is another country. So people have been going to Jamaica since like the middle of last month, right? They're doing something similar. You have to fill out this online travel authorization card before you fly and be subject to testing when you get there at the airport. So I posted another travel agent, and she went and she was just talking about her experience and how safe she felt, because they had full PPE and they were spraying everything down, and they make you take this test. You have an app before you even leave the airport. Okay. So the test that you take when you go into Jamaica, you have to have one before, you have to upload it, but they're giving you 10 days before you get there to have taken the test before you get there, right? So since we're considered a high-risk area, then they're going to test you again when you get there. They're not doing that to everyone, but only people from high-risk countries, and we just happen to be a high-risk country for right now. And you have to wait for your test results at your hotel, and it could be up to 48 hours. Even if you have a negative PCR test, because they're gonna do this temperature check and stuff when you get off. When you get off the plane, it looks like you've got issues, they're still gonna make you take another test, and they still can quarantine you. And if you refuse to take one, they will quarantine you. So you don't really have a choice when you go to Jamaica. And just take note, in Jamaica, they have guards, security and stuff. So you got to distance and you got to wear your masks. Okay. So now another one that people love to go to is another dream location for vacation is the Maldives, right? Or Maldives. They're a little bit more lenient. They're actually going to be taking temperatures at the airport. You have to fill out a health declaration card. They're going to be doing the temperature checks, like the thermal screening with a little gun. I went to the doctor yesterday, and you come to the door and can't bring anybody in there with you, and they test you. They had security at the doctor's office, right? And They come and they shoot your head with the gun to see if you have a fever. Then they question you with the quiz. Do you have these symptoms? Blah, blah, blah. No, then they allow you to go to your appointment. But that's something similar to what the Maldives is going to be doing. And you have to sign this health declaration and fill it out when you get there. And while you're traveling there, you have to wear masks while you're in transit. What they are doing is they are offering a free 30-day visa. They're going to give that to you just for traveling there. Now, if you show up looking like you got some symptoms, or maybe your fever is a little, your temperature's a little high, they're going to test you, right? And tourists are only allowed to stay at resorts at this point in time. Now, there are some other boarding options like budget/guest houses. Those are not open right now, but August 1st, they will begin reopening them for travelers. So yay! I know some people want to go to the Maldives or Maldives, however you want to pronounce it. Yay, you can go. Now, Mexico, I know Angela asked already. As long as you have a U.S. passport, you can fly into Mexico. No tests are required. Okay, so now Puerto Rico. That is a U.S. protectorate, part of the United States. So you still need to have a negative COVID test before you can gain access to the island, right? And if you don't have one, they're going to test you on site. And if you test positive, mandatory 14-day quarantine at your expense. If you refuse, mandatory quarantine for 14 days at your expense. So just keep in mind, these places, they are just trying to protect their population. Next. Now, where else can we travel abroad? Rwanda, that's in Africa. We can go there. And guess what? Rwanda is pretty lenient right now. They have almost returned to pre-COVID conditions. So for Rwanda, you do have to have a negative COVID test. It's called PCR. I forgot what that stands for. But it has to be within 72 hours before you get there. So some are before you board the plane, some are before you get there. You have to know the difference. And you know how you're going to know the difference for all of these places? Hire a travel advisor. So they're going to also test you again once you get there. Okay. And before you leave, you've got to email your negative COVID tests to this email address that they provide. So they're pretty lenient, right? In Rwanda, they feel like they've got their cases under control. Now, Serbia, no mandatory testing and no isolation period. Hey, no mandatory testing and no mandatory isolation period. Wow. That was like a dramatic pause there. I just wanted that to sink in there for a minute. That's Serbia. However, you still have to observe their physical social distancing rules, and the capacities at hotels, restaurants, these venues, they are reduced. They're operating at reduced capacities. And whatever additional health protocols that they specify, I didn't have details on that because a lot of times these things are being developed or changing. You have to abide by them. So probably wearing a mask. Let's see. Next. St. Bart. No quarantine period at all. How about that? You just have to bring your negative COVID test with you. That's all the information that I have. I'm assuming it's within 72 hours, but in order to be sure, if you are hiring a travel agent, travel advisor, sorry, travel agent is a dated term, travel advisor, travel concierge, or travel consultant, or travel planning specialist, that person will help you with this. Nail this stuff down because this stuff changes constantly. So next is St. Lucia. Excuse me. St. Lucia. They were saying they were open to U.S. tourists this month, but they changed their minds. They're like, nope, can't come. Nope, we're not ready. August 1st, you can come. Now, and they're also saying that's subject to change. So there's some stuff going on there. So visitors, you have to be tested for COVID no more than 48 hours before your flight to St. Lucia. You must also certify that you're COVID-free. And all travelers must wear a face mask during the flight and in the airport. The airport. You must wear it. And when you're on St. Lucia, you must wear a face mask or face covering while you're there. And you're also subject to screening and temperature checks by the port authorities or any of the authorities in St. Lucia. So St. Lucia, they're saying August 1st, but I don't know. It could change, because they changed it. It was supposed to be mid-July, and they changed that. So these are some really small islands, pretty remote, small economies, They try to protect their people. They have small numbers of people, small numbers of cases, and they want to keep it that way. Now, let's see. Who is next? Tanzania. That's in Africa, East Africa. Yeah, so if you're into safari, you can go to Tanzania. Call me if you want to go to Tanzania. I got the hookup for Tanzania. Right now, you can go there. They had low cases. They feel like they have it under control. They are almost going back to their pre-COVID conditions. And hey, they're like, you're good to go if you come here, U.S. citizens. Come on down to Tanzania, okay? But you must adhere to their social distancing. You must wear a mask, right? And they may be requiring you to take a test, right? Before or after you get there, right? So these things are sort of up in the air. So you got to find out before you go. They have no mandatory quarantine in place right now. They are going to be doing temperature checks. So these things change. But if you want to go on safari to Africa, I'm the Africa specialist here. Holla. Okay, hit me up. Turkey. No, they don't have any mandatory testing right now. So they're saying they're back to their pre-COVID days, their pre-COVID travel rules. They're like, we got this. If you come here, we're not going to do all of that. There's no mandatory testing. However, that's today. It could change tomorrow. Now, Turks and Caicos is another group of islands in the Caribbean, fairly close to the U.S. coast. Beautiful place to visit. They have something called, I didn't highlight it, but they have a travel authorization portal. So you have to register there, and then you have to have a negative COVID test. That one has to be within 72 hours before you travel. And it's important to note, they're requiring you to have travel insurance. And that travel insurance has to cover medevac or any cost related to a quarantine. So like I said, travel insurance during this day and time is important, because if you get sick and you need to be quarantined, you need to have health insurance. You need to have travel medical insurance. If something happens and they need to medevac you, do you have money to shell out of your pocket? No. Get travel insurance, because that insurance will get you out of there as soon as you are stable. And it also, in many cases, cover your wife or your husband or your kid or your friend, another relative who's traveling with you while they're staying there. If you're it's so incapacitated. So it's important that you have it, because these economies can't support the strain of having a lot of people quarantine and have all these medical costs. these islands are small and their economies are small, their populations are small. So they're looking out for themselves, their economy. They want us to come back, and they want to welcome us, but they're like, hey, we have these rules and we have them in place because we're protecting our citizens. So last but not least, we have the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, and Abu Dhabi. Now, they've been allowing travel for quite some time. So they were actually the first with their airline. When you got on the plane, they were doing COVID tests. This was way back when COVID first kicked off. They were doing this back in May, I believe. So with them, you have to download an app. They call it the COVID DXB app. You have to get health insurance with them too, and they're a pretty large economy, but they're saying get your own health insurance, travel health insurance. You have to bring a negative COVID test with you 4 days or 96 hours before you fly. And you have to agree to thermal screenings, the temperature check once you get there. And if you display some symptoms, they're going to retest you anyway, even if you bring a negative test with you. So it's at their discretion, right? What they're saying is follow the rules of the country and you'll be good. So that means strictly, they're calling this out, strictly follow physical distancing guidelines, use the face mask, wash your hands frequently, and observe any precautionary measures, and monitor yourself for COVID-19 symptoms. And if you have any that happen to occur, they're expecting you to report those symptoms immediately. You don't want to go to a foreign land and then end up in jail for something. You don't want to be in a holding cell or any type of jail overseas in a foreign land, okay? Because then you're subject to their laws and their rules. And their laws and rules may be a lot stricter than the ones we have here, you know? So those are things that we just have to respect. So that's basically all I had for just doing the updates on where you can travel. This presentation will be up on Facebook. So if you want to go back and look at it again, go right ahead. If you want a copy of it, just send me an email, agent@scyllatravel.com, and I'll send it to you. But keep in mind, this thing is changing constantly. The list is probably being updated as I'm talking to you right now. So I just want to remind you of our upcoming trips. We're having a trip to Ghana, and that is November, December of 2021. I am still in the process of organizing it. It is not a one and done type trip. So that's why I say custom travel. There's a lot of negotiation, between vendors. We've got some here and some there, but they're out there. There's a time difference, and they don't operate as like we do, so because of COVID, they're operating at reduced hours. They're starting to come back in more, but all over you've got reduced hours. So you don't get that response quite as quickly as you would expect. And that's the same thing here, So many of us are working from home from our day jobs and stuff, but still, you don't get the same response a lot of times. So that's a reminder. That's the History, Heritage, Wildlife Safari Tour. And we expect Ghana to be open by that time. It's like 15 or 16 months from now. So hopefully this thing will have calmed down. I'm pleasantly surprised to see people starting to wear their masks. I'm pleasantly surprised to see that. Comply, so we can just move on with our lives, And then there will be a future trip to Ghana, which will be featuring investment opportunities. So some people have reached out and said that they're interested in investing in Ghana, we'll have a speaker during the first tour, but it'll be more in depth on the second tour for those folks who actually want to go there, maybe explore dual citizenship, want to invest, that sort of thing. The country of Ghana is being very, very open to those of us of the diaspora, whether you're in the United States, Caribbean, South America, any place across the globe. If you want to come back And for us, it's been 400 years. But if you want to come back and you want to establish something. So I shared my DNA story the past couple of weeks, and I did my 23andMe DNA test. And I found out that I'm like 22.3% Nigerian, 22.2% Ghanaian, and I forget what the other percent is for Senegambia. And there are some other places in Africa as well, and with smaller percentages. But what I thought was really interesting is that I have like a fraction of percentage DNA from the hunter-gatherers in South Africa, Namibia area down there. I believe those are the Khoikhoi people, the Khoisan people. So I'm like, yay, I'm indigenous. I'm indigenous. Yay, along with all the other mixed up stuff that I am. So this is Priscilla with Scylla Travel, just coming on Saturday, just keeping everybody up to speed with what's going on in the world of travel. If you have any questions at all, please, please, please reach out. You can go to my website, www.scyllatravel.com, or go to the top of this Facebook. Go at the top, click contact me. You can get on my calendar if you've got questions. Like if you want to go to Tanzania, get on my calendar. It's a consult, and that consult is free, okay? That's the initial discovery call. That consult is free. Get on the calendar. So there's also a couple of links in this post. If you are interested in visiting Ghana for either of those tours, just click on the link, get on the list, because I'm building the itinerary right now. It's just taking me a little bit longer because it's very difficult right now getting all in touch with all of the various people of all the little moving parts that make up this tour. You know, it's more to it than just flying over there and getting a hotel. No, this is a guided tour. We'll have tour guides all the way, taking us and describing all of these various areas that we're going to visit. And it's going to be wonderful. So, and we're going to have private transport from the airport. We're going to have transportation taking us to and from all of the destinations that we go and visit. So we're not going to be just left on our own. And the hotels, 4- and 5-star hotels. Okay. So it's taking me a little while, but hey, just get on the list and you'll be the first to know. Let's see what else. Oh, don't forget to share and like this post. Just share it with your friends on your social media. I'll be uploading a copy of this to YouTube. I do have a YouTube channel. I'm living large now. I'm learning some stuff now. I am on LinkedIn and on Instagram. I will be putting this video up on Instagram. So I just want to thank all of you for tuning in to my broadcast, Priscilla with Scylla Travel, talking to you about where we can go as United States citizens. And I'm going to be watching the replay, watching the comments to see who has any comments or questions. And like I said, if you want to get on the list, please get on the wait list for Ghana. Please, if you need to talk about something else, travel to Africa or the Caribbean or any place else. Right now, Africa is the place to go. You could plan your trip right now because we're planning your vacation out, you know, into 2021, even into 2022, that way you can break your payments down into affordable chunks, you know, as well as travel insurance. I will be bringing a expert on to talk about travel insurance and the changes and why you need it, and to help you understand it, travel insurance and why it's important, because it protects your investment. So that's what I'll be talking about next. Let me stop sharing. I'll have another guest, and then hopefully I'll have a guest talk to us about Nigeria and travel to Nigeria. Did you know that Nigeria is actually an up-and-coming tourist area? It is. And I'm happy about that because, like I said, I'm 22.3% Nigeria. And I actually found a relative, and she found me through 23andMe DNA, and she's in Port Harcourt. So I'm part from the Calabar. I know that. So It was nice having you. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Priscilla with Scylla Travel. Don't forget to like and share. Don't forget to get on the list and reach out to me. Contact me if you want to talk about travel in the future. Hey, if you got any questions, reach out to me. Get on my calendar. Send me an email. DM me. This is Priscilla with Scylla Travel signing off. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.